Today, we will have a showdown. Digital art versus traditional art. I'm a big fan of both, so I thought that it'd be interesting to compare the process and outcome for both these different art styles or techniques, I guess. I came up with this idea because I was torn between two different, drawing methods. I wanted to make a marker portrait after doing my last video, which was drawing the first page of my sketchbook, where I did a little marker portrait. And it's the first time I've touched my markers since probably Christmas, I think. They were my first like art supply love, I guess. Growing up, all I wanted to use, I dreamt of Copic markers, and then as I got more serious about art, the only thing I would wish for my birthday and for Christmas for many, many years was Copic markers. And I've made hundreds upon hundreds of drawings with these Copic markers. But throughout the past few years, as I've had some problems with drawing in general, and I've also just been away from my markers because I study in England, but I keep my markers here in Norway. So I just haven't used them all that much these past few years. But yeah, I was really itching to use them again. But I was torn between making a marker portrait and making this, I guess, the simple digital portrait. Because my last digital drawing I made was this Draw This in Your Style challenge. I'll show the picture here. I never made a video of it because it was just meant to be a quick, simple digital drawing. And since I couldn't pick between these two drawing methods, I figured why not just do both. It almost felt like I went back to my roots in a sense, going back to anime fan art, because this is what I used to do growing up. Anime was a very big source of inspiration. Anime was a source of inspiration for me long before I even started watching anime, because anime was not mainstream back then. I didn't even know where to go watch it. But the style and the art of anime really intrigued me as a child, which is why I started drawing anime. And since the art style inspired me so much, that's why I then started watching anime. And then especially in my, I guess my middle school, early teenage years, I was really into anime, watched a ton. Pretty much my favorite thing to draw in the beginning of my art career for the longest time was just anime fan art. It's just what I like drawing. But I don't really do that much lately for a number of reasons. The main one probably being that I just don't watch that much anime anymore. So I want to draw things that I'm currently thinking about or currently watching, or that I'm interested in the moment. And when I'm not really interested in anything at the moment, that it's what should I make fan art of? But I did actually watch Frieren a few months ago too, I think. And since I've recently watched it, enjoyed it, and I liked the design of Frieren, I've just been meaning to draw her for a while. But I'll talk more about that later. First, I'm going to talk about this drawing. So I started with my digital sketch first. I did a rough sketch, and then I did a clean sketch, and then the clean sketch ended up becoming my line art. Since my second sketch normally ends up looking so clean, there's just no point in going into line art after that, so I just kind of used it as my line art. And yeah, like I said, I wanted this to be a simple drawing. I didn't really want this to be some big illustration. I just want it to be a simple portrait. I'm really just drawing this to have fun, not necessarily just to make a nice piece. And yeah, I wanted to focus on her hair, so, we have this big flowy movement in her pigtails. I also wanted to have Frieren surrounded by Himmel's flowers. If you watch the anime, then, I'll get into that later. But yeah, Frieren's design in itself isn't very colorful. I like really colorful art. I love having colors and just very bright, saturated colors. That's just what's really appealing to me. But since her design isn't really that colorful at all, I thought it'd be nice to have a little touch of, Himmel's blue flowers in the background, especially since so much of Frieren is white or light gray. I just needed something for the background so that it's not just white on top of white. But yeah, I did the digital drawing first. So the beginning of this video will be me screen recording my Procreate process. You can see the little Frieren reference in the corner. I just had it up there for pretty much the entire drawing, just to make sure that I wasn't getting too carried away with colors and stuff, because I do tend to do that. White hair is always challenging. You kind of have to find the balance between shading without making it look too dark, which is something I'm very good at doing because I love shading, especially for hair. I love drawing the hair, and I also love color, like I've said, so it's hard for me to not get too carried away. Of course, with digital art, you always have the undo button, you can always fix things, so it's not really the end of the world. But I used she has kind of this purple undertone for her hair. That's kind of what they've used to shade her hair, so that's what I used to shade it. And then for Frieren's white clothing, I used a more blue tone for the shading. That way her hair and her clothes don't really blend into each other. Like, one has a more purple undertone and the other one has a more blue undertone, and it just helps set the clothes apart from the hair. And yeah, I had quite simple and straightforward shading. There wasn't really any rendering here. Normally I don't have line art in my big like digital illustrations. I like just using the sketch, and I do some basic shading, and then I'll merge all the layers together so that I kind of draw over the sketch. I don't really like harsh line art or lines in general in my art, and I think not having any line art at all makes it look more like illustrative. That's just the look I've been liking lately. But I did keep the line art this time, or the outlines, because like I said, this is supposed to be just a simple drawing, not a big illustrative piece. And once I was done with the shading, I then colored in the line art to make it a little softer. So yes, there is line art, but I'm still making it softer. I've just never been a big fan of harsh outlines, no matter what. And then I used some layer modes for lighting, like I always do, but this time I try not to use too much. I didn't want to go too overboard, because like I said, this is supposed to be simple and fun. I don't want to get carried away with, I just didn't want to get too carried away with, the lightings and effects and stuff. And yeah, that's all I really have to say about this drawing. I've spoken about my digital rendering process a million times before, so I would just go watch one of my other, bigger digital pieces, because like I said, this one, I am just kind of keeping it simple. And yeah, I couldn't decide on the background, so I have 3 different versions. I have one where the background is white, and I have one with this light blue, and I have one with a darker blue. And I don't know which one I like the most, so if you guys could let me know which one you like the most, that would be very helpful. So this character is named Frieren. She's from the anime Frieren Beyond Journey's End. I'm not going to spoil anything in here. This is a fantasy adventure type anime. It's about an elf with a near immortal lifespan, navigating life decades after a quest to save the lands. And yeah, it's just a beautiful, touching story. It's not so much action oriented. It's not very fast paced. It's more, I'd say, more character centered. And I really like stuff like that. Frieren is, she's a very interesting character. I love the characters that are with her. I love their dynamics. I think hearing about her past is very interesting, but also watching her navigate her life now, 50 years after this big event happened, is really interesting. I think watching someone not really understand the concept of time is really interesting, because this is someone who will live forever. 50 years is nothing to her, but she's surrounded by humans, and obviously time is very precious for us, but time is something that Frieren has endless amounts of. So it just means something different to her. I don't know, it's very beautiful. I do like it. If you haven't watched it, I would go do that. Season 2, I believe, comes out early next year, so you can start watching it now, I guess. I did watch this with my partner back in, I believe, late June. And ever since I started watching it, I've been meaning to draw Frieren, and I just never got around to it. So I'm glad I finally did that. If I'm still working on the digital process here, then I guess we'll have a little bit of music here, and I'll start talking again once I've moved on to the traditional drawing. To start off my traditional drawing, I had to print out my digital sketch, trace it to my sketchbook, and then I did the line art. I didn't record any of this because normally my head is in the way anyway, and you can't really see the pencil lines on the paper and blah blah blah. But you'll see the coloring process, and I used my Copic markers for this, which, as I've said before, they were my preferred art supply for many years, and I have missed them, so it feels good to use them again. The skin was a little bit scary for me because Frieren has very pale skin, but she's not very pink toned, and again, I like very colorful. I like really colorful art, so it's hard for me to draw skin and not like make it really pink. But I did my best, and also I was really trying my hardest to not go overboard with anything because, like I've said before, her color palette is very light. Like, half her clothes are white, her hair is white, she's got very pale skin. The number one thing for me with the traditional drawing was to not go overboard with the shading or the colors, because she is still supposed to have white hair and white clothes and pale skin. But yeah, so I had the same struggle with the hair. I needed to shade it without making it too dark. I think I did fine. I don't think it looks too dark, but obviously it's scarier with traditional art because I can't just undo it, and with markers you can't just go lighter. Like, I guess I could always try to paint over it or use pencils to lighten it or something, but everything I do is just so much more permanent with traditional art rather than digital art, because in digital art you can just kind of fix whatever. For the hair, I did use the white of the paper for the lightest parts, and then at the very end you see me add some blue into the hair for some more color because, I don't know, it was just looking too purple. So I do kind of fix that in the end. At the very end, when you see me, put Himmel's flowers in, this, I think that really pulls it all together because it was just very white and basic and plain, but those little blue flowers really pulled it together. And it was nice to cover up some of the white of the paper. I'd like to know whether you prefer the traditional or the digital drawing. I think that they both kind of have their strengths and weaknesses. I think, like, outline-wise, I prefer the traditional drawing. I like the thin, like, just pen lines, rather than the thick sketch lines of the digital drawing. I like the texture and just kind of like natural marker and paper effects of the traditional drawing, rather than the overly smooth and perfect digital art. A struggle of mine lately has been to add more texture into my digital drawings because I don't really like when they're overly smooth or like too perfect. It's just kind of eerie. But I do like the bright saturated colors of the digital drawing. I think it's more eye-catching. But then the question is it too much? Which is something I've always kind of done, especially with my digital art. Half the time it's just too much. It might be too much color, too bright, too many like lighting effects. Sometimes it's just too much and I need to like tone it down and learn that sometimes less is more. I like them both. I can't pick a favorite. The outcome was fun for both of them, so let me know which one you guys prefer. What I've been up to lately. By the time this video comes out, I would have traveled back to England. By the time this video is coming out, I'm staying with my partner. I would have stayed there for about half a week. And then the day after this video comes out, I will be heading back to London because my sister will be moving in to her accommodation because she'll be starting up uni in London as well. So that entire week I've dedicated to helping her move in and getting to know the area. So she and my mom will be coming that Monday and then staying the whole week. So I've dedicated that week to them, and then I believe I start back up with uni the week after. So because of these next few weeks of like unpredictability, I guess, that's why I've started posting videos every other week rather than every week, because I kind of have to use my content sparingly for a while now, because I'd rather post a video every other week for a month than to go a whole month without posting. Which is what I'm afraid of, which is why I've done this. But whenever I don't post a video, I will replace it with a YouTube short. I come out with several YouTube shorts every week, so just keep up with that. You can always keep up with me on TikTok as well. Post multiple TikToks a week. And yeah. So what I've been up to lately, I did finish watching Sherlock and Wednesday with my family. I've been keeping up with The Summer Hikaru Died. It's rough having to wait for an episode every week. And I've also started watching Dan to Dan, which is like a big anime that blew up last year, I think. So may as well watch it now that I'm actually kind of watching things a little bit. And also at the time I'm recording this, I am traveling all day the next day. So I have the last season of Black Butler downloaded. I've got some Dan to Dan episodes downloaded. So, you know, I'm traveling literally for like 12, 13 hours tomorrow. So, you know, I may as well start watching some stuff. To games, I've been playing a lot of Supermarket Simulator. Yeah, I started replaying Cult of the Lamb a little bit. I'll probably play some more while I'm traveling tomorrow. And then at the time that I'm recording this, I just started Schedule 1 with my partner. So by the time this video comes out, I would have probably played a lot more by then. So yeah, those are the games I've been up to. And books, I have been repeating the same thing for months now, but I'm still working on the same book I've been working on this entire summer because I haven't really read, which sucks. I'm supposed to read. I've had a terrible reading year, but I am working on King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. It is good. I'm about halfway through it now, so I'm assuming I'll either finish it or be close to finishing it while I travel tomorrow, because like I said, I've got so many hours of travel ahead of me tomorrow, so I may as well get some reading done. So yeah, King of Scars, and then I've also started reading The Kiss of Deception. I can't remember who the author is now. I'll have to add it on screen, but that's a book that my sister asked me to read, and I'm about 100 pages into it, I think. I'm not quite 100, but I'm close to 100, so that's the Kindle book that I read at night before I fall asleep. I've said this before, I like having a physical book to read during the day, and then I like having specifically a Kindle book to read at night before I go to bed. So King of Scars is my physical book, Kiss of Deception is my Kindle book. So yeah, hopefully I can do some more reading soon. But yeah, that's really all I've been up to, and I don't really have anything else to say. So I don't know if this filled up the 30 to 40 minutes of content I have. Oh, that is actually something I wanted to talk about. Do you guys prefer longer or shorter art videos? Because I've sped up this video and I've cut out all the parts that like I would normally cut out. And it's 40 minutes long. So cutting out anything else, and I feel like you lose vital parts of the process. Speeding it up anymore, I feel like it's just kind of headache inducing. You can't really see what I'm doing, so there's not really much point. So I'd like to know if you guys would just rather keep the longer videos and like not necessarily have to miss out on like key elements of the process, or if you'd rather have shorter videos and you don't mind me just kind of like cutting parts out. Please let me know. I have put some polls up on Instagram and on YouTube to see what people prefer. But yeah, I'll keep this one long just in case people would just, you know, you can obviously click off at any point, or you can stop at any point and rewatch, or not rewatch, but pick up where you left off at next time, even if it's a long video. But if long videos are turning people off clicking on the video at all, then that's just helpful information to know, because then if people want both, I could like flip-flop, you know, I could have some long videos and some short ones. So I'll keep this one long, but yeah, let me know what you guys prefer. And yeah, I will not see you guys next Sunday, but I will see you the Sunday after that.